Hello, everyone! Blue Star Saber here with.
Mangareader.
Yeah, Mangareader is here, and he's got the perfect avatar to discuss today as we are doing another, after a very long time, another My Hero Academia manga review chapter.
Guys, we have busy lives.
Yes, not just one or two, but three chapters. Chapters 352, 353, and 354. As I subtitled them as The First Victory and let's see, I believe Counterattack or something. But either way, I don't know. I've forgotten the subtitle I've put in. But either way, we're here and we're ready to review My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
I call from let's see, and just the day before the next chapter comes out, which is a thank goodness, because then otherwise the 352 would no longer be on Viz. And let's see, even though I could probably find the Viz translation elsewhere, I'd like to read it on the site just to make sure that they know that I'm reading it nice and properly before buying the volumes. Buy the volumes when you can, people.
Yeah, buy them. Or read free on Viz.
Yeah. Or maybe digitally buy them, I guess. I guess you have a tablet or phone.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, on to let's see, but before we get on to the chapter, from our last bit, we were just getting to the final bit of the clash between Shoto and his brother Dabi.
Yep.
And here with these chapters, we'll finally get the outcome of this fight. But anyway, shall we begin? The actual chapter.
Well, we should begin.
Yeah. Chapter 352, Ultimate Moves. We begin with a flashback to the UA Students' Alliance dorms, if you will, the final night at UA. Let's see. With Midoriya, can't believe they're making him fight his. Let's see, making Shoto fight his brother. But Shoto tells Midoriya he actually wanted this, as apparently they are finishing. As apparently they are going to the baths right now, as we can see some of the Britzy UA students, the male ones at least, going to the baths. Let's see. Though granted, Shoto comments about even his own father's disappointed that he can't really go and deal with his son himself and all that stuff. Let's see. But let's see, Shoto comments about how Hawks has made the wise decision to have, let's see, Shoto deal with Dabi while, Endeavor deals with All for One. With him going on about how Dabi's existence in his family is his family's crime, so let's see. In order for him to reach the heights he's aiming for, he must confront him and all that stuff. And he reveals that this new move of his will get past that wall of all that heights, if you will. But Midoriya seemingly realizing that, so this is what you meant, Ritzy, when figuring out that move and all that stuff. Asking if it's some new form of flash fire. With Animan talking about, Tailman, talking about how Midoriya didn't know since he was gone. And Dabi is Denki is poking Shoto about how cool it's feeling and all that stuff. But yeah, with Midoriya now starting to poke Dabi, and then let's see, Bakugo making fun of Ida saying, or at least Bakugo saying, "Oh, last longer in battle than you, wimp." Though Ida says everyone get to the bathroom and all that stuff. As Shoto explains how it can elevate his flash fire move by using both his right and left sides at the same time. His heart is the center of making both hot and cold manifest, so we get more insight of Shoto's power. And he can apparently create a cycle heated and chilled blood through in order to create a stable body motion, either cold or fire of sorts. Comments about how his own father had, sought out an ice ability to stifle the heat inside him and all that stuff. But Shoto is going in the other direction, apparently. Since as he thinks about this is probably the reason why he's born in the family, as he talks to Midoriya and tells him that yes, this is his power and thanks him for him. And Shoto reveals his new move to be Icebound Crash, Cold Flames, Pale Blade. Let's see, as a mix of fire and ice surrounds Dabi. As Shoto ends up saying to his brother that maybe this is to be the way to cool his head. As he continues his attack, freezing and burning Dabi at the same time. As Dabi is himself has figured out what Shoto is doing to withstand his heat and all that stuff. Let's see, as he makes a comment about how the mockery telling about how Shoto was apparently the perfect man for the job. But anyway, as he comments, but realizing that we may share the same blood, but they ended up on real different paths. Which, though granted, Shoto has lost his ability for a second and needs to switch it back on. With Dabi going on about how the limitations of superpowered society is them. Let's see, they can never, and apparently how it's a warped, twisted thing and they can never really mingle with it properly. Let's see, they're running in parallel to each other but forever apart as Dabi tries to increase his flames as he tries to burn his brother's ash for their sake. Endeavor's psychics get really burnt, and I think they're unconscious, or maybe even dead. I'm not really entirely sure, though I think they're probably mostly unconscious. Let's see. As Shoto apologizes to Endeavor's psychics for being used as shields and all that stuff. Though Burning tells him to quit worrying and save their energy for, like, dealing with Dabi and all that stuff. As Shoto starts to think, let me just say one thing then, and he says thank you. As he thinks about both his blood, his past, and the path he's been walking on, he's reclaimed so much, and before he knew it, everyone else he knew seemed to have gotten far ahead. But they were always there waiting for him, as we see a panel of all his friends at UA. And comments about how Class A never let anyone behind, and always there to assure him and build him up and all that stuff. As he thinks back to about what Mount Lady said about how the ultimate move symbolizes who he is and all that stuff. Let's see. As Shoto uses his final move one more time, as he ends up telling his brother that we're going to mingle whether he likes it or not. So with his final punch, I believe, towards his brother, he tells him to please just stop already. And uses the move Great Galatia Agar, causing a powerful shockwave, from what I can guess, mixed of fire and ice. As we get a little panel of both Toya and Shoto and their young kids crying and all that stuff. As we see Dabi is unconscious in Shoto's arms from the punch, as we see a mix of fire and ice surrounding the city, ending the chapter. So, Mangareader, what are your thoughts on this chapter?
I mean, it's pretty straight and narrow.
Yeah.
We get two ultimate moves, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Three if you really want to count Dabi too, but
yes, with his
he doesn't really call it anything though.
Yeah. It's might have been one of the moves he did in the previous chapter. If not, this has been one of the first few times a move manga has not been named.
Right.
That's very rare. The only time I can think of is maybe Attack on Titan, but then again, they don't really do moves in Attack on Titan. They don't really name moves in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, anime is weird. They like naming everything.
Yeah. Well, superheroes just punch each other.
Yeah. Superheroes. American heroes don't give names. Superheroes in Japan, they have all forms of names. I don't know. I think the idea of using fire and ice together actually makes perfect sense. I don't know if this is necessarily the way that most people would have expected it to
Yeah,
be interpreted.
yeah. I have to. I do find it interesting how it's explained how let's see he's able to evaluate the abilities from like his heart being the central point to control it all.
Yeah.
Let's see, and apparently that he can transfer, and apparently it's through his blood that he can move fire or ice within his body and all that stuff.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if it's anything other than maybe just a cool look. I don't really know what the hot cold flame X on his body really offers. I mean,
I think it's just probably the way of making it like, oh, this is like him in his ultimate form, because shonen manga like to go their Super Saiyan forms, don't they?
yeah. I mean, that's probably just the way. I'm pretty sure it's just for visual effects more than anything. Because again,
Yep.
I don't. I mean, I'm assuming it's supposed to be a power up of sort, but I don't really know if it really was supposed to do anything. I know he says he has to turn it back on, so I guess in theory it's how he's somehow able to combine both powers. Weird
Mhm.
that it would be a flame on his chest that doesn't actually do anything. But
Yeah, I did find it funny how Dirty Denki and Midoriya did poke it.
yeah, he's like, what are you doing?
Hmm.
But I mean, then we get the standard silly, oh yeah, my friends, blah blah blah.
Let's see, who were always there helping him along the way and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'll admit that does, yeah, the power of friendship and all that stuff. But I think it kind of worked with the way they did it about how, with the help of his friends, he was able to get as far as he did and all that stuff.
Just imagine that Ida was in this battle and absolutely accomplished nothing.
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm pretty much disappointed that Ida didn't get to do anything in this fight. My only hope now is that, let's see, since they're still like one of those Mitty Nomos, he'd be the one to take it out in the end, at least.
we maybe, I don't know. They already moved.
Because
I
at
mean,
this point, sorry,
I was gonna say, well, I mean, this chapter is basically over.
yeah,
There's nothing Dobby can do at this point.
yep. Let's see. In many ways, it's always a bit. I estimate. I'm a bit surprised that Darby, one of the big, most hyped up villains in all the series and all that stuff, and one of the longest story arcs, ended up being the first one to fall.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the most popular amongst all the League of Villain.
The only one I could think of is maybe Shigaraki, maybe.
It's debatable too. I don't know how many people are actually fans of Shigaraki, more so just,
Yeah,
understanding that he's the main villain.
though Lucky Chi would probably say, "My boy Shigaraki."
Oh, my boy. Um, no, I think we all figured though at some point Shoto would still rely more on ice than fire.
Yeah, but I do like the way he's able to combine the two moves and all that stuff. And in many ways, it looks like from the way the art style's making, he's making it like a mix of the fire and ice. It looks like it's created some sort of like tsunami, if you will.
I think he uses the fire to propel himself forward just based on what it looks like, and then the ice is literally what he uses to. It's essentially what his original ultimate move was, which was the glacier, which was just freezing literally half the entire area. Only
Mm-hmm.
this time he's using the fire to propel himself, obviously to keep himself. So yeah, he starts with the fire and then ends it with ice.
Yeah, I have to admit, I really do like the art style with like how they've mixed like the ice and fire here. Guy is pretty good at drawing this, either that or his assistants, depending on. Let's
Pretty sure it's
see.
him, and they're just editing it or
Yeah,
whatnot, possibly.
yeah. But I will admit, I do think the bit where he goes the Great Glacier argue there's a bit too much white on the page and all that stuff. But then again, I guess that was supposed to be the ice move.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is probably the one thing for sure that you'd have to see animated, because before you mentioned it, I knew there was fire in there. It's been a couple weeks since I've actually read this chapter.
Fair enough.
But it's like I didn't even realize till you really said that there was a mixture of fire and ice. I thought it was just kind of all ice, and he was just using the fire to keep himself available. Yeah, in order to really see how this works, you definitely either need a color page or, frankly, to see it animated. Because
that is one of the downsides of anime and manga. While the black and white night does a good detail and art and all that stuff. Not saying that color can't do it itself, but sometimes you don't quite understand what is on the page until it's like colored or animated.
So yeah, I don't know how much fire was going into that glacier thing. I think, like you said, like I was saying, I think really what it was is he just used the fire to propel himself, and then just used ice completely for the rest of it. Because I'm pretty sure the fire surrounding the area is just Dabi's attack.
Yep.
That basically melted everything. What Shoto did was literally freeze almost a good chunk of the. I mean, he got a majority of the not skyscrapers, but he got a majority of the buildings in the back too.
Yeah, I have to admit, it's like
for all you power scalers out there, Shoto definitely is looking like one of those ridiculously high-powered
heroes right now.
Characters. Yeah, I don't know how the hell Bakugo is gonna really. I mean, a lot of people probably would, if they made, assuming everything stays the same, no one gets yada yada yada, Deku would be the number one hero. It's really hard to picture how Bakugo would be the number two at this point.
Well, my guess is that Tsukai might give Bakugo an explosion that's as big as a nuclear bomb.
Probably be the only way, but it just seems kind of seems unfair to Shoto that he's consistently been shown, frankly, better than Bakugo in terms of all-out abilities.
Well, for all we know, for all we know, Koi might just decide to, I'll make
just Bakugo get rid of hero ranks.
Yeah, or just get rid of hero ranks in general, because
maybe. But
it seems like the hero ranking system seems a pretty
obvious. The thing, it's weird because I'm always amused that Bakugo technically has the higher fan base out of the three of them, but I always feel like that Shoto is like the most I wouldn't say overprotected, but just overused character. I think it's like the one character that everyone seems to always. I never really see like a true Bakugo fan. I always just see Shoto fans.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I do. Really? Yeah. I don't really see too many Bakugo fans.
Fair enough. Maybe it's his temper.
Possibly.
I mean, after all, they joke about how his temper puts off people in their universe. Perhaps it's the same in the real world.
I don't know, because Japan likes Sasuke too, and they like Vegeta. It's like there's more Goku fans than Vegeta fans. Just seems like everyone likes rival characters.
Yep.
Except in Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball's like the one series that consistently, the one exception. Well, no, Bleach is another exception. Renji never really caught on.
Well, to be fair, Bleach never really had any rival characters. To be fair, I guess maybe Renji could possibly count, but
Renji's pretty much the closest. I mean, unless you really want to count Byakuya, because Byakuya is really powerful. Otherwise, but popular, but he's not nearly as powerful as Toshida, and Toshida isn't really a rival.
Many of my guess is that usually because Renji gets his butt whooped half the time.
Yeah. Those Bankai wasn't cool for the longest time either.
But yeah. Oh, well, you never really know what. I guess for some mangas, you never really know what characters end up being popular, though. Sometimes it's pretty obvious which ones if you go by trends.
Yep. So either way, yeah, Shoto definitely amongst everyone has the power set really amongst all of them that probably would be the number one hero
Yeah.
if
Though,
Deku didn't have plot.
well, I guess he didn't have the most powerful quirk in existence, yes.
Yeah,
Or the most powerful good quirk in existence. But
which apparently was never even intended to be the best quirk in existence, but
yeah. But anyway, I guess you could argue another thing is perhaps maybe it's in at least more recent manga. It seems that rivals have become a lot more friendlier to the protagonists than they were to the past, where they were a lot more hostile. So that might be a new thing in Japan, at least. I know that was the case with for Black Clover. I guess
that might be the only exception.
no, fair enough. But yeah.
I can't really think of another one.
Oh yeah, good point then. I guess let's see.
That might be an exception to the rule than the new status quo.
Yeah, fair enough. But I guess we just have to wait and see more mangas pop up and all that stuff. If they go more of the continued hostile rivalry or the more friendly rivalry.
You need to see more shonen, depending. I don't know. One Piece doesn't really have that either. I mean, unless you wanted to count Zolo or Zoro, I guess.
Let's see. I guess in terms of rivals, Luffy has either Law or Kid, let's see, from the worst generation. But they're very late additions, really.
Super late. Really, all of Luffy's yeah, really the only rivalry for a while there was Luffy and Zoro, and it wasn't really because it was just really one episode, and then just because Luffy's an idiot.
Yeah. Yes. If anything, Zoro has more of a rivalry with Sanji.
Yeah, that really was what ended up happening after the fact.
Luffy doesn't need a rival.
Luffy's too airheaded to even know what a rival would be.
That is probably true.
Airhead.
But I do like how let's see, we like this whole chapter we have like in the flashback, it's Shoto explaining it to Midoriya and then him thanking Midoriya in the end, because it was really Midoriya that paved the way for Shoto to open up to Class 1A.
Yeah. Well, that and the fact that it's because of Midoriya that he finally learned that he needed to use both of his powers.
Yeah. Though granted, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Midoriya ex Shoto shippers got excited from the first few pages of this chapter.
I'm sure they did.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, I suppose we should probably talk about the main relationship that was in this chapter, Darby and Shoto, where Darby thinks that they're polar opposites and they must destroy each other, while Shoto is like, no, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case, huh?
Mm-hmm. And despite everything, he does seem to want to have some form of relationship with his brother, though of course he needs to stop him, though I'm pretty certain that he's not killed Darby, though whether or not Darby actually survives, because look at the state of his body.
Well, yeah, I feel like it's almost semi of a callback to Koei's second movie, Heroes Rising.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily the same fashion, but it was the exact same result. Freezing the opponent. Instead of going down Darby's throat, he just punched him.
Yeah.
I don't know how either of those aren't death moves.
Who knows? Maybe Shonen is. I don't know. Shonen's always been a bit iffy on when it kills characters and doesn't kill characters.
Well, I know how killing works. I'm just saying that those are easily both kill moves.
Yeah.
First off, you can't survive being frozen. It doesn't for as silly and out of worldly as My Hero Academia can be, it's still semi grounded in realism.
That is true.
So it's not like Deku's like flying. His ability float really is just again giving him the ability to essentially levitate. Just like Bakugo flies using propulsion, doesn't just fly through the power of fire. just like Dabi and Endeavor and Shoto can't necessarily take extreme heat temperatures without passing out.
Enough.
Or killing their body.
Let's see.
So yeah, the two moves that end up freezing people are somehow not killing moves, however.
Yeah, if I had to guess, it's possible that either Shoto's somehow making it so that it doesn't kill someone, or that Dabi's flame body has managed to prevent, prevents him from being knocked out, doesn't prevent him from being knocked out, has prevented the move from killing him. But that's just me just trying to find some logic into it.
There's potential for that, but the reality is that we're never going to get an explanation. So it's just going to be like, this should totally be a death move, and it's not, because the power of
love,
power plot in this manga decides that the heroes don't kill, essentially. So these aren't killing blows.
And again, superheroes usually not kill. Though granted, that was more in the Silver Age than, I guess, the Bronze and Modern Age, but still.
Even nowadays, they don't really kill.
Yeah.
Unless it's in the movies.
Yeah.
And the only reason they do it in the movies is because it would make one hell of a headache to not kill in the movies.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why comic books, villains rarely ever die, or if they do die, they come back, it's because, due to the fact that comics are always ongoing, they need to keep bringing back their villains and all that stuff.
Gotta make sales somehow.
Yeah.
Batman hasn't killed the Joker despite his numerous crimes that would demand for killing. Well, because without Joker, you don't have Batman selling nearly as well.
Yeah, that's true. Though granted, that might be more of a fault on the comic book writers for making Joker's crimes over the top. Where it's like, why the heck are you not killing this guy?
Yeah. You mean to tell me that Joker can kill millions of people and consistently get out of jail? Can claim psychopathy, but Batman can't kill this man because he's his arch rival, and we need to keep him alive for sales.
And not to mention moral code. So yeah, that's pretty much the long-term. Let's see, long-term moral complexity when it comes to discussing Batman, really.
Exactly.
Let's see, but yeah, and let's see. Of course, Batman's main logic is that if he ends up killing his villains, he'll never stop and may end up becoming like them, and he doesn't want that and all that stuff. So that's the best explanation he can do, but it's what it is.
We're only basing that off a video game that's not canon to the actual main timeline, but
Yeah. The only other thing so if you see villains dying, it's usually in movies when, they usually just kill it. It's only more like a villain for the movie, really, unless you're having a long-term villain, Thanos or Loki, I guess.
Thanos didn't really appear until then, and when he finally appeared, he got killed off again.
Yeah, he had a few cameo appearances and then had 2 main movies with him. But fair point.
And eventually Loki got killed off too. Yeah. Except he didn't. But
and then an alternative version of him was created in an alternative timeline, and now we're in a series called Loki.
Yeah.
but still. Or in the case it's an alternative comic book universe where it's not from the main canon, really.
Yeah.
Like Injustice, Ultimate Marvel, etc.
The only movie that I can think of for a superhero that has not resulted in death is Spider-Man: Homecoming.
That is true, and I guess you could also count No Way Home.
Well, yeah, I mean, Spider-Man in his movies never really killed. It was always the
villains that killed themselves.
Yeah, villains killed themselves.
Because, for Spider-Man, his morality was that he could never really kill villains. He's among the 3 heroes, the 3 most popular, Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman, they're normally written as that they do not kill their villains.
Yep. Batman because of some absurd reason, Superman because, he's just Superman, shouldn't be killing because
Yeah,
that'd be weird. And
he's always and shows the best of humanity and all that stuff, and holds back his power. And Spider-Man, his moral code, and how he was probably taught and raised and all that stuff.
Between Batman and Spider-Man, Spider-Man's makes more sense.
Yeah.
Batman's makes no sense. Batman should basically be the Punisher.
Yeah, Batman's probably Batman did kill for a while, but then I think let's see, I think some certain laws that were put on comics at the time saying do not kill, and then as a result, it became such ingrained with the character, which is why.
Batman doesn't use guns because that would be the same thing, the same weapon that kills parents. But Batman also doesn't kill because, morality.
Yeah.
Because if he kills once, he'll consistently go down a bad road that'll result in multiple killings.
Now, granted, the fact Batman's been so ingrained in that, that when it does been shown in media, like the Dawn of Justice movie, people absolutely hate it. It's like, Batman does not kill. Batman does not use guns.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, granted, I do find the Batman and Dawn of Justice to be a bit too edgy, but that's me.
It's Frank Miller for you. That's what they based it off of.
Yeah, and there's probably a reason why they probably a reason why they shouldn't have. But oh well, that's just me.
Well, that series, Batman Returns, was still actually well acclaimed. It was written pretty well back then. Still a good comic series. It's just Frank Miller, after that series and after Watchmen, just became a total lunatic.
Well, to be fair, he didn't do Watchmen. That was Alan Moore, but yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Alan Moore. My bad.
But yeah.
Frank Miller had something else, and then it just went to shit afterwards.
Yeah. Anyway, we've probably gone on describing this chapter long enough, and probably the more debates around it. What is your overall score to it?
I'll just do 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much fine. I mean, it's a nice conclusion to the Shoto versus Darby fight and all that stuff.
Flashy, but that's about all it had going for it. We didn't really learn anything.
Yeah, in many ways, it's just closure for like the storyline that's been building up with Shoto since we've met him and all that stuff with his family and Darby, and it's finally been dealt with.
Right.
Giving the first victory to the good guys, if you will.
The first victory of the series. The one where the antagonist really wasn't doing too much. Other than antagonizing the protagonist.
Well, to be fair, Darby did have a major impact of making this entire society not only lose their trust in Endeavor, but in heroes in general for
good old Darby being an absolute prick.
Mm-hmm.
Even though technically what he did was semi-justified.
Yeah, it's like, call out. Call out Endeavor's family drama and all that stuff. Let's see, but the way he did it was wrong.
Well, let's see. I can blame my dad, but I also blame all of Hero Society. I don't know how you got to that conclusion, but you're not wrong. Your dad, you're wrong in that you're blaming heroes, but you're not wrong in that your dad is an absolute jerk.
Yeah. Let's see. You could just write my book, My Family Life with Ritty Endeavor, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
My horrible father.
By Morty Smith Jr. Sorry, it's a different series.
Poison and poison.
Anyway, I think it's now time to go on to the next chapter, I think.
Yep.
Number 353, Endeavor, in which, before we begin, we got one of those classic Jump Comics coloring cover pages that Koei likes to do. But let's see. This one is, of course, Shoto with his ultimate move of the flame and ice thing, across together. And it seems that we've got a bit of insight to what the form looks like here, where it's like his hair. Half of it is a blue ice, and the other is just this flame cross.
Yeah, it looks about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Blue flame. So that, more like it's probably just ice flame at that point.
Yeah, it probably is, to be honest. That's probably the better
Just
description.
snow. It's just snow.
Yeah,
I don't know how that works, but it is.
But anyway, it's a nice coloring page and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it gives you an idea of what the anime will do when it finally adapts and all that stuff. And I do like how the My Hero Academia logo is both mix of blue and red.
Yep.
And the same could be said for the Jump Comics thing on one side and by Koei, it's his name on the other. So anyway, we can't really see it. So the chapter follows off from last time with Shoto now starting to be cool his eyes and all that stuff, and Darby looks to be completely white eyes, which shows that he's knocked out and all that stuff. Burning, who managed to survive Darby's attack. Let's see, with Sherman commenting about that Shoto's done it and declares that Darby is down to the entire battlefield as we see a bunch of the other heroes. Let's see, with this one woman just smiling after hearing the results and all that stuff, going she can't imagine how powerful it must have been, but it would put her off. As many compliment saying, "Yay, the boy did it! Shoto beat the blue flame!" Which seems to be another nickname heroes are calling Darby, it seems. But anyway, we see some of the other heroes battling the giant Nomu here, as they're talking about following Shooter's footsteps and take the big guy, as this big guy is apparently the last one standing. As it seems, all the other heroes have managed to defeat the remaining background villains, if you will. As all the heroes are now trying to charge it with numbers. Let's see. Granted, the guy and one of the other heroes says that they only got lucky because they got the lucky draw of the back and all that stuff. As they apparently comment about how Kodansha or Gashly, it'd be a totally different story if we were dealing with Tartarus escapees like them. As Koei is starting to name a bit more of the villains that has escaped, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
As you comment about how they got lucky that they got to spread some of the playing field about. But anyway, the news reaches from Kamino's ward in Ground Zero, where All Might and his lieutenant police friend are monitoring the battlefield and all that stuff in the command center, if you will. As it reached Takamuti's team in the command center. And we see All Might thankful that Todoroki did it and all that stuff. As I believe Tsukukachi comments about how it became a rocky start since Midoriya was moved from a different battlefield, but with this victory, it's a good omen. This is the first victory in the battle and all that stuff. As they now decide as he asks All Might to spread the word. And then we cut to a different battle where Jaku's hospital ruins outside, where we see that Gigamachia's detainment. Where Gigamachia has been detained and all that stuff. As apparently being narrated that all the squads heard the good news. With as we see from this battlefield, after seeing it appears to be the sludge villain from the very first chapters in here. You know who I'm referring to, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he had a name, though.
Yeah, but who appears to be fighting some of the heroes. But here on the battlefield, we have a mix of Class A and Class B and all that stuff, with Pinky, Mineta, the two girls that were on, Class B's team against Midoriya's team, and Mudflap, the one that Ida kicked on and all that stuff. Sorry, I don't remember their names.
You missed Saro's there, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so. Ooh. Sorry, sir, I didn't see you there.
Yeah. Well, he's on the next page too, but
Fair enough.
he on the next page.
Okay, let me see if I can just get the class 1B net here. I also got to get the wiki page up with these guys.
Oh no.
Let's see, from what I can see, let's see, remember the names. I believe they are Yu Kodai and Riko Yanagi.
Mm.
And the mud flat one, I think, is called Juzo Honakoki. But yeah. So yeah. But anyway, Mountain Lady is also there, apparently.
Yep.
With her commenting that she was a bit worried of how Shelter got his head wearing heads in the clouds, was wondering if he wouldn't be able to pull it off, but she's proud of the kid. I think he even says that she loves that kid, though I'm not sure if that meant in a romantic way, but
no.
But yeah. Let's see, the comments about the sneak attack and all that. We had the sneak attack all set.
All set.
That's wondering why they're ready for us. But anyway, we cut to appears to be one of the villains and all that stuff. As he talks about how it was all the rules in their part, pretending to be scattered and without unity, and had several dozen heroes stationed here, as it's revealed that it seems this battle was not one of the ones that was teleported everywhere, but they had some heroes guarding Gigamakia just in case the villains were trying to break him out. Which, if you ask me, kind of makes sense, really. Let's see. As he comments how they must have foreseen that their detached force would try to steal the powerhouse during this operation. Though the villain, which we now get a closer look, it appears to be this sort of skull person with some sort of tongue coming out of his mouth. I'm not sure. Maybe some sort of mask tube thing. It's kind of hard to tell.
It
might be some oxygen mask kind of thing, really.
Might be.
But this villain tells them they squander those resources as he's holding some sort of box-like thing called FGI. Though granted, he might be a member of the Liberation Front as he comments about how the era of liberation's at hand. And apparently these pushovers of falsehood would be crushed beneath their boots. Just like that UA teacher, as we cut to midnight, and Pinkei notice, and it's revealed that this is the villain that killed Midnight from the last walk, if you will. Anyway, Red Riot arrives, saying sorry he's late. Let's see, as he comments about how this escort's mission is done, Pinky, and they tell, let's do this and that stuff. With him commenting about how Todoroki showed everyone how much of a man he is and all that stuff. And they got to stay strong and hold the defensive line. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, we then cut to the National Tobaki Arena where we see Sugarman and Tailman talk about how they have to celebrate this win and once the battle's over. With Tailman commenting about how he always thought people would be outmatched. With then Sero, who's just a blank-faced. So it looks like, I'm not sure if Sarah's thinking something there. That might be interesting later. And we cut back up the sky on the UA main building, if you will. With Barco saying he didn't expect anything less from Todoroki. And then we cut to Fat Gum. Let's see. As a police another some hero next to him. I have no idea who it is. But this villain is talking about considering this matchup. Talks about how it's clear the priority of those cages was splitting up only the primary fighters on their side. And that the ones left behind are the dregs, that they plan to try and improvise on the spot once in battle. Though this villain, who appears to be, I can't quite describe the design, but it seems to be, he's covered in cloths and all that stuff, and these sort of like rags, if you will.
I'm assuming it's something like a scarecrow.
Yeah, I have to guess. Though he talks about on the basis of what? Trust or hope, perhaps? As it goes about how those things are invisible to the eye. As he plans to coat this planet like an oppressive membrane, so clearly he seems to have some sort of like coat ability, if you will. Though Fat Gum comes like, "Why, you some kind of alien or something?" It seems it seems like, okay, I think I realized who next to Fat Gum is, and it can't stop twerkling, or can't stop sparkling, or Ayama, if you will.
Yeah.
As he talks about how as he notices Ayama's day, he talks about those who have betrayed All for One in the past haven't survived long, and there won't be any exceptions tolerated. And he comments that since the dictator's failure, it's his turn to come around. But now, as he now kind of trying to show himself as one of All for One's assassins, as it was revealed to be one of the villains that were talked about early in the chapter, the Tartarus escapee Kundia.
Yeah.
And he talks about, and he comments to like Ayama that all the villains here will be coming after him due to his treachery and all that stuff. Though Ayama just perhaps scared, just ends up saying the word mercy. But anyway, we cut to present Mike declaring how Shelter took down Darby. And then we cut to, I believe, Shoji, the one with the tentacles and all that stuff. Tentacoil. The one that kind of reminds me of Kakashi, at least.
Uh-huh.
if Kakashi had multiple arms.
Yeah.
And he comments how it was cruel for him to be, facing Darby, but he managed to fulfill. But he ends up helping Animan dodge an attack from what we now see is a giant, spinner, who has grown to kaiju mode, if you will, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And whose face appears to be all quite savage, and he goes like, and he's shocked that Darby's lost and believes in no way in hell that's possible. As he believes that this is just false information being spread to lower the morale of his side, if you will. As he cuts back to like the last meeting he had, as it seems like Darby's rejected any power given to him by All for One. And let's see, as Spinner's thinking about how he's had everything and the reason to live on as a go, and not to mention power. And the things that he lacked, as we've seen that, as he thinks this, All for One appears to be giving Spinner a new power, which seems to be some sort of giant ability. As he lacked everything and all that stuff. As he shouts that his convictions could never fail him and all that stuff. As Spinner is telling like all the non-humanoid villains in the Liberation Army and the League of Villains, like saying how they've locked up Kurogiri, but they're going to take him back in order to destroy the status quo. As he comments about how this is for Shigaraki's sake and their sake, to demolish the system that's oppressed them. As Tentacoil goes like to as he comments about how he's proud of Shelter and that he was glad he was in his class and all that stuff. As we then cut to like either taking care of Shelter, if you will. As Shelter comments that his engines are stalled and that and apologizes, telling him he has nothing to apologize for. With one of the heroes commenting like, "How is Darby still alive in this state?" Though interesting, we end up seeing something in Darby's chest, and it seems to be this sort of bright light thing. And then we cut to like probably the final bit of this chapter where the narration goes like, we've actually reached this battle here, the Gunner Mountains and Villa Ruins, where Endeavor and Hawks is fighting All for One. With All for One mocking Endeavor about the face he's pulling, like what does it imply and all that stuff, affection of grief. With Hawks telling him not to listen to him. As All for One talks about how, Endeavor couldn't face Toya and all that stuff and left Shoto to deal with the task instead of dealing with him. And tried to justifying as a choice of justify the choice of being here about how heroes have so much to protect and all that stuff. As Hawks thinks about All for One's mind games. As All for One prepares 5 different abilities attacks in one of his hands, as he declares that this is why Endeavor will lose, ending the chapter. So, quite a lot to be in this chapter, wouldn't you say?
There's a bit to digest.
It's mostly, of course, just a sort of update on all the current battlefields, and maybe even ones that we did not quite know of.
Yeah.
Yeah. As it's pretty much, with the heroes boosting the morale of... the heroes have won the first battle of at least they've defeated one of the first main targets of the fight, Darby, and it's boosted morale throughout the entire area.
Yeah.
Though, granted, at the very least, it seems like, and from what we can tell in Darby's battlefield, while victory is nearly at hand, since Darby and nearly all the other minor villains have been taken down, the only one that left is the main Nomu there, which they're now all combining their attacks to do. Now, granted, even though Ida's engines seem to be a bit damaged, and he's taking care of Shoto and all that stuff, I am hoping that, at the very least, Ida in this battlefield will at least be the one to do the finishing blow on that Nomu. I mean, Koei, at least give him that. Wouldn't you agree?
For what? What was that? Oh, for Ida? Yeah. Just to do something.
Yeah, because...
His engines are stalled, man. His engines are stalled.
Yeah, but hoping that he'll recover at the very least, and at least do the final strike on this Nomu.
Maybe.
Yes,
I guess they're saving the Nomu a bit since they didn't actually finish it off.
Yep. So it looks like that's going to be part of the battle. There's going to be at least maybe a chapter dealing with this one at least.
Probably is going to end it in one of the... I don't know. Maybe if they get back to I'm just surprised that they showed all the battlefields except for the
Betsy,
the Ochaku and what's her name again? Toga.
Toga, yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps
we didn't see that battlefield.
Yeah, perhaps Koei is saving that one for special for when he wants to focus on it at least. Because because if he does it off screen, I think there's going to be outrage.
Well, right now it's off screen and we have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope Toga does not get beaten off screen, which I think would be ridiculous because it's this rivalry has been built up for ages now.
It very well might if he doesn't think he's got time to finish other things that he thinks he needs to do.
Though, granted, he's adding more things to it from what we've seen in this chapter. But yeah, but just one more comment. I'm just hoping that Ida does not end up like the Chad of My Hero Academia.
Oh. Yeah, no, he's... It's weird.
Let's see, but yeah. Let's see. Pretty decent fight, decent moves, but doesn't get much fight time. And the ones he does, he gets his butt whoops, though. Granted, Ida hasn't really lost too many of his battles.
Right.
But still, it's he's one of the forgotten main characters. But in many ways, you could argue he's been replaced by Shoto in some regards. But yeah. But anyway, I do like how All Might is the one to give the news out to all the.
Well, he was probably going to be the guy that did it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he's kind of like, I guess, Shikamaru's dad in the Central Command base, if you will. If I had to compare it to something.
Yeah.
But anyway, But interesting in this chapter, we end up getting a few new villains to take the place of, to replace Darby from this fighting and all that stuff, as we got two new names, particularly Kunyaida and Gashly. Now, from what I see from the Shillarettes, from what I can tell, one of them is what we saw later. Another one appears to be one with an umbrella, so it's possible that we have yet to see. Gashly, though I could be wrong. But interesting. We end up learning that All for One did send a group of villains to come and rescue Gigamakea and all that stuff. His most loyal servant. So. Probably because he's such a powerhouse, and that would turn the tide of the battle to his favor, really. And the sludge villain is actually there with him. Is actually there to rescue them. But here we have a few minor characters, but it's mainly here for But it's clear that the main thing of this fight is, no, granted, it's the hero leading this battle as Mount Lady, of course. But but it's clear that the main highlight for this bout is the fact that we have the villain we've got the identity of the villain that killed Midnight, a member of the Liberation Army, which I can't quite figure out what he has. Quite figure out what his design is, though. If that thing in his skull is like a tongue or some sort of mask-breathing tube thing. I guess that's when we find out more of his quirks, but yeah.
Right.
But really, this is supposed to be the Red Riot and Pinky team-up fight with possibly Mineta and some students from Class B to avenge their teacher.
Maybe. We'll see where that goes. I mean, they're fighting just a bunch of whatever guys, I guess. So
yeah. No, granted, we'll probably learn a little bit about the man who killed Midnight, if you will.
Maybe.
It probably won't be one of those long, dragged-out battles, just enough to give some moments for Red Riot and Pinky, and perhaps, I don't know, give closure to their ritzy relationship throughout the series, if you will.
Yep.
Let's see, ever since it's been revealed that those two are from the same school and all that stuff, I think those two have been shipped by a lot of the fan base.
Maybe. Yeah, it makes sense.
But anyway, the National Taibaku Arena, that's where Toga and Ochoko's battle is, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting how we see the location, but we don't actually see them.
Yeah.
And there's not really much update on the Skybow, but we can clearly tell from the background that there's clearly a lot of destruction with the main UA building, as it's just shelter there. And it looks like and the other fight that we've learned is one of the Tartarus escapees that was mentioned earlier. Let's see, Gashly. Is it? Let's see. Wait, hold on. Let's see, a Kundai. Though I'm curious to see if the villain that's with a Red Riot and Pinky is perhaps Gashly, maybe, because that might. Let's see, since those two names were brought together and two new villains were introduced. But then again, Gashly's supposed to be a Tartarus escapee, but I do find it interesting that. Ayama's gotten All for One's latest assassin targeting him and all that stuff, as being one of the unknown villains and all that stuff. And given the fact that he's a Tartarus escapee, he should be a real danger to the heroes here.
Yeah.
But it looks like Aoyama wants to give. Koi wants to give Aoyama his big moment here.
Could be.
Which heck, I think it's fine. I mean. Clearly, he wants to do something for Aoyama to make it probably feel like he's redeemed himself and all that stuff for being a spy all these years.
Yeah.
But interesting enough, it seems that we finally got an idea of who's actually fighting Spinner, and it's surprisingly two minor characters, but in Class 1A, but it's the two non-humanoid besides Tokoyami, Tentacoil and Animan, which I suppose perhaps maybe makes sense since like the whole theme of Ritzy Spinner is that he's to represent the non-humanoid Ritzy metas of or quirk users of Ritzy Villain Society against the non-humanoid of Hero Society. But I end up also learning that All for One has given him a major upgrade boost to turn him into a giant and all, you will. And even his sword is big. But anyway, I do like how Spinner has he just cannot believe that Darby could be taken down and all that stuff.
Yeah, convictions can make a man thinking different things.
Yeah, as he thinks that Darby had everything while he had nothing and had to be handed down everything in order to do this fight and all that stuff. But yeah. But I do like all his followers are following. Let's see, Spinner and all that stuff, and they're there with him from the Liberation Army.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I doubt we'll actually learn any of their names or all their moves. They're just minor Britzy background villains to be probably taken out during the fight.
Well, Spinner's been so unnecessary to at this point in Koei's eyes. So yeah, it's a bunch of fodder crap going on.
So yeah, my guess is it'll probably just be a chapter or two, since he's mainly fighting a Tentacoil, Anyman, and I believe Present Mike. So yeah, not much there.
Yeah,
but still something. Anyway, it's fun enough as we were talking earlier. Let's see. We had a hero commenting like, "How on earth is Darby still alive?"
Yeah.
It seems like we might get some sort of explanation in this little white dot here with Darby. It might be something like Shoto's done.
Probably a flame or some crap, most likely.
If I had to guess, it might be a bit of he's probably transferred some of his ice power to keep Darby stable, maybe, and maybe try and help his body.
I don't know.
My guess is. The only other guess is that Koei's going to do something else with Darby that he's not just done with him just yet.
How is he still alive in this state? How is he still alive in this state?
No, I can't see what more you can do with the character.
Have it all be a psych out and he actually still alive. Have it be the Frieza of this saga.
Yeah.
Oh no, we've defeated Frieza. Oh wait, he's back. Oh shit.
Yeah, Frieza, one of the only few villains in Shonen that doesn't seem to die or does die but always comes back.
Yeah. Well, he died to the Spear Bomb, except he didn't. Died on Namek, but didn't. Finally died when Trunks killed him, but he technically was still alive when he was cut up. It wasn't until Trunks overkilled with the flash bomb or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a burning attack at that point, but
then revived for a movie.
And then now permanently alive after being killed again in that movie, and then
revived for a tournament.
Revived, brought back to life for a tournament, and then literally revived after said tournament, and now still living.
Yeah. And his last from what I tell, schemes is like him trying to control Broly somehow.
Yeah, that's the movie. Otherwise, if you're up with the manga, he's just trying to avoid anything involving Goku and Vegeta.
My guess is he's trying to bide his time to power up and all that stuff.
Could possibly be. Now he's not destroying planets. He's going around selling them.
Okay, so he's having it. So he's changed his goals. Well, I suppose it's trying to make his character try to do more of his character, I guess. But who knows? I guess I'll have to wait and see whether or not that's a good step for his character, or if it's he's gone another Orochimaru path.
I mean, he's stealing planets from other people and then selling them, but yeah.
Well, at least it's nice to know that Frieza's still evil instead of whatever they're trying to do with Orochimaru.
Well, Or any of the other Dragon Ball villains.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yeah, Vegeta's evil? Nah, he's just trying to beat Goku. Piccolo is evil? Nah, he befriended Goku's son, so he's a good guy now.
yeah,
Krillin is a douchebag? Nah, he's good friends with Goku.
yeah.
Tien's
No,
a douchebag? No, Goku beat him in a tournament technically, but lost by by weird moment bullshit. We're friends now.
yeah. Well, to be fair, those lot becoming good guys, I can buy it. Though, granted, Vegeta's a bit of a stretch, I will admit. But
Well,
Frieza,
Piccolo's and Piccolo's and Vegeta's are weird.
yeah. Though Frieza becoming good guy, that's
That would be killer. Yeah,
yeah,
that would be the death of Dragon Ball.
yeah.
You mean to tell me the ultimate villain that was the main point for why Goku had to turn Super Saiyan in the first place is now friends?
Yeah. Also, one of the reasons why I hate the ending of Naruto, where Orochimaru's apparently a reformed good guy and still allowed to do his experiments.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Woo.
and only he has a clone son.
Woo. And that son is better than him at everything. Because
Yep.
Bardo is fucking trash manga that decided to make all of its characters OP.
And still doesn't use them.
But it likes to shit on its old characters.
Yep. Oh, boy.
Sasuke and Naruto still taking L's, man. Still taking L's.
Mm-hmm.
No Rinnegan for you, Sasuke.
Ooh, and Kurama's dead.
You get Sage mode now, only Naruto.
Yeah, and it's been treated like a joke, despite how it took out the Rinnegan.
Yeah.
Oh well. But let's see.
But the Byakugan got buffed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, all the freaking parasitic aliens used the Byakugan.
Oh yeah. It's like suddenly the Bakugan is important again. No. Anyway,
Nine eyes, special eyes.
yeah.
But,
Anyway,
I don't know. I think the one thing about this chapter was, man, why did Koei have to draw freaking All for One basically looking like he's going to do something to Spinner?
Yeah, that is interesting, but yeah.
That's a really weird image. Very detailed too, no less.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps maybe it could have been done a better way, but yeah, it's clear he gave him some powers, but
We gave him powers, but yeah, tall man in black background takes hand out to 16-year-old person, maybe 18, I don't know, 16 to 18-year-old.
Wait, how old is Spinner in it anyway?
Teenager.
Spinner, I'm just going to see what the wiki says. Let's see, Shinichi Ignachi, that's his real name. Oh, he's currently 21 years old.
Oh, 21. Well, fine. 400-year-old man in shadow figure decides to put hand out to 21-year-old to offer him powers.
Okay. I do find it interesting how Spinner wants to rescue let's see, Kurogiri. Yeah.
Well, they're all trying to do something. I mean, they're trying to get Gigamakia back too.
Yeah, I do like that. I do like how that is being addressed, because I figure but surely All for One would not, leave behind his most powerful servant.
Right. Essentially a Nomu of its own. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the original Nomu, if you will.
Yeah. And then Kurogiri is obviously the superior teleporter, unlike
yeah. But see, with his powers, they could probably teleport to the rest of the world easily and to do the rest of their conquest.
Yep. So, yeah.
Anyway, I do like how this is the last thing in this chapter we'll probably comment is that All for One is trying to stop playing his mind games against Endeavor now, who's
trying to start his mind games, you mean?
Yeah, since he's just trying to process Shoto finally defeating Darby.
Oh yeah. Well, that's how one, yeah, one
All
for
for
all
one.
was. All for one. That's what All for One likes to do. Play mind games. It's his best power.
Yep.
It's not even a power. It's just freaking being a maniacal douchebag. Essentially the Aizen of My Hero.
Yep. Anyway, Alpha, what did you give the score for this chapter?
I'll be a little bit more generous. Maybe 8.5 to 9.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. I think it's because it gives us more an update of like the situation of war, and it's also giving us more insight to some battles that we didn't quite know about.
Right. It's not as action packed, but it's got a lot more. It progressed the story essentially.
Yeah, and let's see, giving us an idea that okay, the war's going to be a bit longer than we probably expected.
Not every chapter has to be flashy to get a high score, and not every chapter that isn't flashy has to get a low score essentially.
Yeah. Well, granted, I don't think we've ever really given a very low score to any of the My Hero Academia chapters. Just everything. At the worst, we've probably given them a 7. Nothing below.
I mean, if there was ever any low score, I'd have to go back to listen to your podcast if you have them anywhere. But if there was ever a low score that I gave, depending on the chapter, I could have theoretically went lower, but obviously being the kind-hearted soul that I am. Because, I don't know, there's been, at least in this arc, some filler chapters, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
That literally are just there to pad instead of doing anything, like not even invoking action, just literally just being there.
Yeah, fair enough.
For the sake of it, I need to make my chapters longer while thinking of a plan for how to make this work. So here's this nothing chapter for you.
Well, I guess depending on how the fights are drawn on some of these new matchups happening, they could be low score ones, and we think like
could possibly happen. Yes,
there's too much filler. It's like Hanzo versus Mifune. But yeah. But anyway, so we've got, let's see, updates on the battlefields, and we seem to now be focusing on Endeavor versus All for One with Hawks. Anyway, on to the now we can finally discuss the final chapter of the day.
Yep. The final chapter of the day.
Yeah. Unless you want to go to chapter 355 tomorrow, but I figured you probably want to wait till next week to discuss that one.
Yeah, isn't it technically not out till Monday?
Yeah. Well, technically it comes out on Sunday, really, but that's probably late in Sunday, so...
Oh, yeah.
But I'll probably need to be heading to work and all that stuff, but anyway.
Yeah, you probably do. Oh, yeah, I guess it does come out on Sundays. All right, well, anyway...
But who knows? But then again, I have something else planned for Sunday, but who knows? But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Probably not tomorrow.
But yeah. Anyway. Chapter 354. Oops-a-daisy.
Oh, okay. That's now kind of funny. At the end. Yeah.
We start with Hawks explaining that All for One has one weakness, and that's his support mask. Given from the data they've taken, that he also took like all that stuff with him during his prison break, and that he can't function without it and all that stuff. As we then would see with Best Genius talking, this is clearly a flashback with them, even though it's got the white page panel bits between them. As he talks about how surely All for One knows that better than himself. And they comment about how it'd be difficult to try and hit him simultaneously because, this guy can steal as many quirks as possible. And they can't let him take their quirks because then that would then boost his own arsenal. So in order to, take on, let's see, All for One, they need the combination of Hawks and the number one hero and a small team as hitting him as hard as possible with their combo moves. And this is why this matchup has been done and all that stuff. Anyway, as All for One ends up doing some sort of slashes with his next attack and all that stuff.
Flipping us the bird.
And Endeavor using a move called Hell Curtain to block those slash attacks. And then the Hawks using his feathers, shooting them like flaming arrows, if you will. But All for One is able to interpolate these since they're such the obvious tactics over and over again. Though he seems to be mocking Hawks in a manner, as apparently he's slowed down and all that stuff. Says even though Recovery Girl has managed to heal Hawks up, his feathers have not fully, come back and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So his speed has become much slower, though Hawks just smiles at him saying, so we're both cripples now. Or they're both crippled.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I'm sorry if that ended up sounding offensive to
I doubt it.
That's too bad, yeah, but just in case.
Just in case.
Hey, I like to be politically sensitive. Anyway, Endeavor is now trying to create what appears to be a giant fist aiming at All for One. With the thinking about how they can't have their fighters being hit down below, and they need to keep the action close and finish him at plank blind in the air and all that stuff. And also at the same time make sure he doesn't touch them. As Endeavor is names this move Vanishing Fist. With All for One thinking due to the intense heat, he cannot seem to reflect it with his impact recoil. And Hawks won't give him an opening to strike. Though Endeavor tells Hawks that his timing doesn't quite match up with his things. Or comments it doesn't quite match up, and it seems like Endeavor's heart isn't quite into this battle and all that stuff. Endeavor says that they should keep this up and keep landing as much damage to him as possible. And apparently he doesn't have his hyper regeneration, which I believe you did comment that might be one of the quirk abilities destroyed against, Stars and Stripes, I believe, right?
I think it might have been. I just know that she destroyed a whole bunch of quirks.
So
unless it transferred over to Shigaraki.
Fair enough. But it's possible that this might be confirmation that, yes, the hyper regeneration ability has been destroyed at last.
That was a ridiculous regenerative ability.
Yeah.
I was going to say, again, I hate to get off topic, but yeah, for, again, a series that kind of relies heavily on realism, that was another ridiculous ability. There was nothing realistic about that.
Yeah, clearly was a way of keeping Shigaraki alive until the final fight, but now it's okay, now he's become so OP. I know, let's bring in the US's most powerful hero.
If a freaking nuke can't take him out, essentially, we need to get rid of that ability.
Yep. Or at least the attack equivalent to a nuke, but I guess.
Yeah, right.
Though, as All for One blocks Endeavor's fist attack, he tells him to behold about how everyone's fighting hard to fulfill their role as we cut to a nice panel spread of this bit sort of battlefield down below. Which does remind me quite a bit of a war zone, I will admit.
Yeah, there's things going on down there.
Yeah. It definitely feels like a super-powered battle down there. And we end up seeing that some of the heroes are there. From what I can tell, we at least got the confirmation that Class 1B's Kinoku Kominari, the mushroom girl, the one that ended up turning the tide of the fight for Class 1B in the second round of their joint training battle. As he's commenting about how even the novices are fighting hard. As he comments how Endeavor's head seems to be somewhere else. As he mocks Endeavors because, is it because your Master Beast took down your failed experiment? Though Hawks tells him that he's trying to that Endeavor's trying to provoke him like he did with All Might back in Camino.
Mm-hmm.
As All for One then ends up just feeling to Endeavor that he's besides All Might, he's also had his eyes set on him for ages, given his own twisted sense of longing for power. And he comments about how he can help himself but sow some seeds, as he then reveals to Endeavor that he is the reason why he never found Toya's body, as Endeavor comes to the shock about this, and Hawks is even still a bit shocked, thinking how it seems All for One had another trick up his card. As he's thinking back how Endeavor's a man living up to a tone, and how he needed to make a clean break of where he did. And thinks about how, given the current situation right now, Endeavor could not have fought and beat Darby the way it is. So that's why he is here to support him. As he tries to tell Endeavor that his duty now is to take down All for One without delay, so tells him to keep his cool head, but it does not work, as Endeavor shouts, "All for One!" in rage. And as a result of this, I can't tell, but let's see, but it seems like as All for One ends up saying "Oops-a-daisy," which is the name of the chapter, slices Endeavor, causing a bit of blood, but I cannot tell, but it might be from the way the panels are drawn. It looks like Endeavor might have gotten his arm cut off.
Might have. I don't know. I can't really tell.
Yeah. Perhaps the anime will be a bit more clear, but the way the fingers are, All for One's fingers are turning into some sort of bonish creature that's got some jaws. It might be that he's bitten the arm off.
There's not enough blood there, to be honest, to make me think that the arm's cut off, especially since you don't see. I don't know. There's nothing really there that makes it look like the whole arm's cut off, but I don't know. Maybe it was just a chunk near. Maybe it wasn't even maybe it was the armpit area. Because you'd think you'd think the whole arm being ripped off would essentially mean that he's dead. There's no, I guess his flame could technically seal off all the blood loss or whatnot, but
yeah. Though we have seen from many mangas that losing a limb
isn't really. Yeah, I know. We just saw that with the one character that's fighting with Genist and good old Bakugo.
Yeah.
Limbs being torn off and shit like that doesn't really end up being the death of the character. I don't know. We just don't really see anything. We don't even see the arm on even on that bite mark. So it's definitely a panel thing. We're gonna have to wait for the next one to really know for a fact. But I don't think his arm got ripped off.
Yeah. So let's see. So we just have to wait and see, or when we get a close up of Endeavor again, because we don't get another. As after this, we don't get really a close up of Endeavor. As let's see, as Hawks tries and go to Endeavor.
Zooming in on the panel, it looks like it might have just been his side, because
Fair
it looks
enough.
like his arm looks like he's using both arms to cover himself, but I can't really outright tell you.
Yep.
But yeah, just zooming in on that panel. As for Oopsie Daisy, roll credits.
Yep.
As a specific YouTube channel would say.
Uh-huh. Anyway, but Hawk's now trying to rescue Endeavor. All for One takes this opportunity to try and prepare a new attack on him, as he realizes that he cannot dodge at this range and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And though he comments at the very least, Hawks can help Endeavor keep himself alive with his own fire abilities. But just as All for One's attacking, Hawks, Tokoyami and Jiro arrive, flying on Dark Shadow, and with Jiro using her megaphone music box ear thing, calling an attack called Heartbeat Wall to counter All for One's shockwave attack from the looks of things, as the two notice the two newcomers. As Jiro, it is Jiro, right? I am pronouncing
it. It is Jiro, yes. Yeah.
Jiro saying that, telling Tokoyami to keep it steady, as she's not used to flying and all that stuff. As he tells tells Jiro in her hero name as Earphone Jack that she must endure it, and tells him to keep her rear end still or risk flustering him, though she gets annoyed by this and telling him to shut up. As Hawks tells him to stay out of this, as it's not their place to fight, as he will slaughter them. Tokoyami goes like he may be a poor substitute for Endeavor himself, but the two of them are capable of great teamwork. As All for One just calls them pesky nuts in the swarm, that swarm about one for all and all that stuff. As he ends up commenting about the comic he used to read about those jobber characters, you will, or side characters that were only existed so the Demon Lord could show what he was made of. Though Jiro says, how about you save that line until you actually beaten them, as she says his name and asks if he got that, ending the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So, besides the debate we've had about Endeavor's arm being cut off, what do you make of this chapter?
It's a pretty okay-ish chapter.
I definitely said. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say nothing really too flashy or nothing. I mean, we already knew All for One is kind of a manipulating bastard. So
yeah, but it seems like Koei's finally putting that backstory of All for One is the one that revived Dabby and all that stuff to use, and it seems like part of it was to try and play mind games with Endeavor,
right?
Which I suppose makes sense that All for One would after All Might probably try and find a way of taking out Endeavor, since he is the number 2 hero at the time. And if All Might was gone, he would be the strongest hero in Japan. So it makes sense that you'd probably try and do something to take him down or use against him.
Right.
But I do like how this chapter we end up learning the reason why this team, this sort of formation of the team was made, is because the combined efforts of Hawks and Endeavor would be the only ones that could do repeated damage, destroy the mask, while at the same time keeping heroes away, in case, All for One tries to steal their quirks, since, well, that is dangerous for heroes. in this world.
Yep.
Anyway, I do like some of the abilities that are displayed here. Besides particularly with Endeavor and Hawks, with let's see, Endeavor creating a giant flaming fist, or Hawks using Endeavor's flames to create flaming feather arrows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
Yeah.
No, I do like how it's Hawks is the one that tries to keep Endeavor cool, but he can't and all that stuff. But I do like that we also get a bit more confirmation on who else is on this battlefield, and I really like that little panel they have of the war zone, if you will, below. Where I'm seeing that the mushroom girl's there, though granted, we're probably not going to see too much of her here. She's just more of in the background.
Yep.
But anyway, besides Tokuyama, who we didn't know was here earlier, but it turns out that Earphone Jack, or Jiro's, also here. And after Endeavor gets his major injury, which eventually we'll learn out what actually happened to his arm.
Right.
Which I have to admit, I am a bit curious what this quirk that All For One used to damage him is, because it's clearly some sort of beast-like thing with bones. So I'm curious about that.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, it does kind of remind me of Kimimaru's bone abilities, though granted Kimimaru didn't create bone beasts out of his body, but we pretty much have. But I do kind of like how we've got the combination of Tokoyami and Earphone Jack of flying and her using her sound waves to create shock blasts. It's like a sort of flying airplane, if you will, with sound abilities.
Right.
But yeah. But it's quite interesting. But I have to admit, I find it an interesting matchup: Tokoyami and Earphone Jack versus All For One. I do like the commentary that he goes "Okay, what are you, side characters to hype up the bad guy's abilities as he defeats them?" But I do like how Jiro's comeback is say that line once you've actually beaten us. In many ways, it'd be to me, it's if they're you had one of the Kahona 11 fight and someone I know, Madara Toby before Naruto and Sasuke, or other members of Team 7. It's and then again, of course, Naruto didn't do that, but it seems my hero's doing it here for the case, at least. But yeah, it's an interesting matchup since, let's see, these two heroes haven't really had, amongst the members of Class A that have actually encountered All For One, these two haven't really done so yet.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but yeah. But I did like a little bit of commentary there, but Jiro just rebuking it and all that stuff. But yeah.
Oh yes, I remember jobber characters. That's not really in a comic book, but
No.
Koei definitely is showing his modern day references, memes.
Yeah. Nutty side, though. Granted, I've never really heard the term jobber characters.
I'm pretty sure I at one point put something in the group chat for that.
Fair enough. I probably need to search it.
Oh, it's been months, so I'll just resend it.
Fair enough.
Might even have been a year at this rate.
So, overall, what did you give this chapter a score of?
Probably back to an 8. Nothing really exciting to me happened. Yeah. Nothing really.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably definitely a 7 to 8 out of 10. It's mostly just a fight scene, which with information that we already know being used against Endeavor and all that stuff. I mean, no, I must admit though that I do like some of the funny lines here, particularly like all for one using the move "Oops Daisy" as he damages Endeavor.
Yeah.
But the main highlight, I think, is the panel at the end of where you have like Tokoyami and Jiro against All for One, a matchup we probably never expected happening.
It's not likely.
Yeah. But I guess it goes to show you that war is a chaotic battlefield.
Yep.
So yeah. Anyway, Mangareader, thank you for joining me and discussing not one, but two, but three chapters.
Not one, not two, but three chapters. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and probably made stream the length of like a small podcast, but heck.
Stream of a small podcast.
Yeah, the length of a small podcast.
Yep.
But then again, we did have quite a few interesting discussions, such as the morality of heroes killing.
So, yes. And that was only chapter 1.
Yeah, first chapter. Definitely made it go quite a bit, but yeah. Though now that we've caught up with like My Hero Academia after three weeks of absences of reviewing, we can go back to the one chapter a week thing, which will probably be our standard 30 minutes, though an hour if we end up having a lot to discuss.
Probably anyway.
Yeah, so but from judging from what I can tell from the early scanlations of this chapter, it'll probably be a quick one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so depending on what happens, let's see, because I'm discussing, let's see, Star Wars tomorrow with Lucky Chi. I might have time to ask you for My Hero, but we'll probably save it for next Saturday or something.
It's fine.
But yeah, but whenever you're ready, I guess.
There will be 1 week where I won't be around, but that's not for another 2 weeks. So.
Fair enough. Then I guess we'll have a double week chapter review then, unless like
yeah, you were too quick on that, man. You were too quick to say that.
I'm planning 5 steps ahead.
I live a life, guys. I live a life.
Yeah, of course. Sorry. Let's see. I'm not. Let's see. But yeah, thank you for coming on, even when you don't have to.
Yeah, I don't. You could have always did this like a week ago if you had really wanted to.
Yeah, but I like discussing My Hero with you. Not to mention, not to mention Lucky Chi is pretty absent these days from these discussions.
Yes, he is.
But anyway, I'm Blue Star Saber.
I'm Mangareader.
And we are signing off. Thank you for those who end up watching this, or if you do end up watching this later. Hope you enjoyed what we have discussed and our thoughts, and goodbye for now.
Farewell. Au revoir. Plus ultra.
Plus ultra.